Thanks! Alright, I'm not going to try to do that voice the whole video. What's up, guys? I'm Adam, and I'm clearly a big Scooby-Doo fan. I am dressed like Shaggy. I mean, you can only see me from the waist up, but I even put on the trousers just to fully embody the spirit of Shaggy. Shaggy, in many ways, is my spirit animal because I'm a bit of a pussy, and I love to eat. Those are two separate sentences, by the way. Don't get those two things confused. I didn't say anything vulgar, just, you know, just be clear that they are separate things that I said. Not that I don't love to eat, but... Okay, maybe we should start this over. What's up, guys? I'm Adam. I'm a huge Scooby-Doo fan, and today I'm going to do a Scooby-Doo Where Are You tier list video where I'm going to rank all of the monsters from the original series of Scooby-Doo Where Are You, or the first two seasons. There's some discrepancy over, is the third season of Scooby-Doo Where Are You the third season of Scooby-Doo Where Are You, or is it the first season of the Scooby-Doo show? So I just fucking looked up Scooby-Doo tier list, and they have the ones from the first two seasons, so we're not doing season 3. So it's just the ones from the first two seasons of Scooby-Doo Where Are You. And looking at it now, I've just realized I don't know what criteria I'm going to go off of. I mean, am I rating their character, their plan, their aesthetic, design? Am I factoring in like who they are outside of the costume? I think I'm just going to go on vibes. Fuck it. Okay, so up first is the Black Knight Ghost. You gotta love the Black Knight Ghost. He is the OG. He was the original, the very first Scooby-Doo monster that the gang encountered on the show. If you watch the episode, they say, oh, looks like we have another mystery on our hands. So he's not actually the first monster that they encounter canonically, because clearly they've been doing this for a while. But he is the first that we, the audience, meet. So you gotta have some respect for the OG. I do think that kind of beyond that, he's not like a super memorable villain. You know, a walking suit of armor, that's cool and all, but I do think there are better monsters. So he's probably gonna go about a B tier for me. I could see the argument that he could be an A tier because he is the OG, but I do think there are better monsters. So for now, I'm going to put him in B tier. I can always go back to this later and kind of decide what I feel later on. Up next is the Ape Man from Never Ape and Ape Man. This one is a bit lame, I do gotta say. He's really just a gorilla. And it doesn't help that this is possibly the worst episode of Scooby-Doo Where Are You, Never Ape and Ape Man. It's a really, really weak episode. So the story of the Ape Man is that they're making a movie about the Ape Man, and then the Ape Man appears and starts haunting the movie set. And it turns out that the stuntman who plays the Ape Man, Carl, is the one who's doing it because he's jealous that he didn't get cast as like the lead, like the human lead in the movie. I mean, you're playing the lead, you're playing the title character. I know you're behind costume, but like still, I think it's because he's not playing the romantic lead and he's not getting to do any scenes with the actress or something. I don't know, but dude, that's some fucking small dick energy that you're bringing to the set there. I think that's the wrong vibe. And look, brother, there's no shame in it. Well, so I'm told. Yeah, not a great episode. And I know the episode shouldn't factor in, but fuck it. It's my list. I'm ranking it based off whatever. I don't really like the episode, and he's probably among the most forgettable. So he's got to be a D tier. Which, I think I reset these to be S, A, B, C. Like, originally it was, like, great to, like, trash. I don't know if he's trash. Because, I mean, all these guys are classic in their own way. But still, he's pretty weak. The Caveman. I don't know. I have no strong feelings on this one. Is he also a D tier? I should have rewatched this episode because I don't remember a lot about him. But I saw this episode a lot when I was a kid because I think I had it on, like, a VHS recording. I recorded off the TV. And I was always particularly confused by this one. I mean, none of Scooby-Doo makes any sense. But, like, was there a real caveman in a block of ice? And then did the guy how did he get, like, a suit that looked exactly like the caveman? I don't know. It was always kind of weird to me. He's probably... I mean, you could say C for caveman, but I can't come up with any sort of metric by which he's better than the Ape Man, so I think he's got to be another D tier. Charlie the Funland Robot. Let's go. This guy's goated. And I think he's got to go straight to S tier. I mean, he's one of the most all-time iconic Scooby-Doo villains. He's creepy as hell. He seems like one of the most dangerous. I guess because he's not a person, he's a robot. So like he seems like he could do more damage to the gang. It also helps as well factor in the episode Foul Play in Funland. The episode that Charlie is in is one of the best episodes of the whole show. So that is factoring into his quality as well. Also, he's the only one on this list who's a real monster. I mean, he's not a monster, but he is a robot. He doesn't turn out to be a guy in a mask. And oh my god, it's the Creeper. It's another straight to S tier. Another one of the best episodes. And this is where the series really starts to come into its own as well, with its original villains. Because, like, what the fuck even is the Creeper? I think he's supposed to be a ghost, but he's also like a hunchback. And is he a zombie? Or like a mutant or something? He's the Creeper, you know? He's kind of a law unto himself. And they don't, like, explain the lore around him or anything. He's just the Creeper. He's just like a guy who shows up and starts causing trouble. Actually, specifically robbing banks, which is interesting. Because usually it's a monster to try to scare someone away from, like, a building or something. It's like, oh, I'm trying to scare someone away from the school so that I can rob a thing that was lost in the walls of the school or what the fuck ever. But, like, in this, he's straight up using the disguise to just rob banks with. And I just think that's ballsy as hell. He's like, yeah, fuck it. Like, he's not trying to scare people away from the bank. He's just fucking, like, breaking into banks as a Creeper. And, I mean, such a simple but such an iconic design. The Creeper has come back time and again in Scooby-Doo. Little details like the fact that he always just says his name. Creeper! Creeper! Little things like that add a lot of personality to something like the Creeper. So he is goated. He's instantly going into S tier. Up next we have Dracula and the Frankenstein monster and the Wolfman, who are all in the same episode, A Gaggle of Galloping Ghosts. Now these three designs are iconic. They reuse these constantly in Scooby-Doo media. Like when I was a kid, I had Scooby-Doo wallpaper, and I'm pretty sure that Frankenstein was on it. And then anytime in a later series that they need like a Frankenstein or a Dracula, they just reuse the same design because they kind of knock it out of the park all in one go. Now, the downside with their presence in the episode of Gaggle of Galloping Ghosts is, spoiler alert for this episode of Scooby-Doo that came out in the year 1969, is they all turn out to be the one guy. So in order for that to work, no monster is on screen at the same time. And it's only a 22-minute episode, so they're all kind of competing for screen time. None of them really gets a big time to shine. So maybe if it was just like one of them, they'd stand out a bit more. Also, as I said, what I like about the Creeper is that he is an original concoction, whereas these are Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Wolfman. They are based on pre-existing concepts. Again, they knock it out of the park with their design of those pre-existing concepts, but I like when Scooby-Doo kind of strikes out on his own and comes up with an original villain. So I think they're going collectively into B tier for now. Anyway, how do we have another S tier this soon? It's the Ghost Clown. And am I going to order? I think he's going to the top. If I can move Charlie back there. He is the goat of goats. The goat clown, perhaps we should call him. I mean, scary as hell. People always say, oh, thank you, Stephen King, for traumatizing a generation. But, like, who was fucking watching or reading Stephen King's It? Maybe people were reading it when they were kids or watching it when they were kids. But I think a lot of an entire generation's fear of clowns comes from this fucker. Because, like, you would be watching Scooby-Doo when you were a little kid, and you would see this evil clown, you'd have nightmares. And if you don't like clowns, you probably still shouldn't watch this children's episode from 1969. Because he's pretty fucking scary. By Scooby-Doo standards now, I have to say. Definitely one of the most dangerous, because he hypnotizes half the gang and puts them in very, very dangerous position scenarios. Like, he makes Scooby be a tightrope walker. He could have killed Scooby in that scenario. I think he nearly hypnotizes the whole gang, which brings him very, very close to achieving his goal. I think he's among the villains that comes the closest to success. I love as well a villain with personality. I like that he talks and he has a personality, and you know, he gets to exude that a bit. That's a fun thing about him. Also, when he hypnotized the gang, like the first thing he did to Daphne was like he made her put on like a skimpy ballerina's outfit or something. That's kind of my boy right there. All right, don't read into it, but look, that's kind of my boy right there. All right, up next is Captain Cutler's ghost. This guy is quite memorable, but I also like. It's kind of beautiful in its simplicity of the design. But sometimes I feel like this one might be a bit too simple. When I was a kid, I never really liked this episode. I enjoyed episodes as a kid based on who the monster was and whether I thought the monster was cool or not. And I never really warmed to Captain Cutler's ghost as a kid. Now that I'm older, even though I'm still watching Scooby-Doo, I'm nearly 30, but I'm still watching Scooby-Doo. But like, now I can enjoy other elements of Scooby-Doo. I don't base it just on the monster. And I have come round on Captain Cutler's ghost. He's definitely iconic. He's very memorable. He's got this really eerie moan, which I really like. Do I like him more than the Black Knight Ghost? I feel like I could understand why people would say A tier for this guy, but I feel like it might be a bit too high for me. So I'm going to put him upper B tier, just above the Black Knight Ghost. I think. Yeah, okay, we gotta move on to the next one. The Ghost of Elias Kingston from What the Hex is Going On. Another one of the best episodes. This is another one where this is one of the first episodes to give a unique villain with its own unique lore and backstory. He's not just a ghost, he's the ghost of Elias Kingston. And they always bring back the Elias Kingston name in future Scooby-Doo iterations, and of course the design. It's so simple. It's a guy in a big trench coat. He's got a green face, but it's so effective. He talks a lot. He's another villain with great personality, which I love. He also comes off as one of the most dangerous. Now, not really, because he turns out to be Uncle Stuart, but there is a point in this episode where he makes you think that he killed Uncle Stuart and turned him into a skeleton. And that's pretty scary by Scooby-Doo standards. And even though he didn't actually kill Uncle Stuart, because he is Uncle Stuart, I think the fact that he went that extra mile to basically fake his death in this episode of Scooby-Doo has got to give him points. He's maybe not quite on the tier of some of these upper guys, so I think he's going to be our first A tier. I mean, I could almost personally put him in S tier, but I gotta separate the men from the boys at some point, somehow or other. And I guess he's not as iconic as these three. So he's going... that's a solid A tier, I think. Mr. Hyde from Nowhere to Hide. When I was a kid, I always thought he was too similar to Elias Kingston. They look too similar. Obviously, now I see the difference. And I think there's a bit too much green going on here. I think it's a great design, except for there's too much green. Some part of him should have been a different color. But he's pretty creepy. I think it's the trench coat thing, the tall, thin look in the trench coat. He seems like someone you really wouldn't want to run into in a dark alley. Do you know, like this guy would kind of skeeze me out if I ran into him in real life. Is he an A tier or is he a B tier? Maybe I should move some of these guys down to fucking C tier. I can't put him... I don't like him as much as Elias Kingston, so I'm not going to put them in the same tier. So I'm going to put them B. Oh my god, it's Redbeard's ghost. This is a guy with personality coming out of his fucking ass. Because he's a pirate, and he loves being a pirate, and he fully embraces that he is a pirate. He's doing all the pirate shtick and the lingo. He's got a crew. He's got a fucking ghost pirate ship. That's base as all hell. He's making Shaggy and Scooby walk the plank. He seems to fully inhabit the character of a pirate even when no one's around, which I love. And he loves Reg. You gotta love a guy who embraces gimmick, even though I just kind of knocked Mr. Hyde for that. But like, his name's Redbeard. He was born a ginger, and he's like, you know what? Fine, fuck it. I'm Redbeard and Captain Redbeard, and he just wears nothing but red. I think he's gotta be an A tier. Captain Redbeard, get into A tier. I noticed this list doesn't include like the henchmen. He had 2 henchmen, and some other guys here have henchmen who aren't on the list. That's fine, because I don't know where I'd rank them. It's a totally different thing. Who's up next? The Ghost of Zen2O from Mystery Mask Mix-Up. This guy, I gotta say, is kind of bland. I don't really remember a lot about him. The design of the mask is cool. He also has two henchmen, so a lot of times in the chasing scenes, it's the henchman doing the chasing, not Zen2O himself, so that makes him a less impactful, and also it's probably kind of culturally insensitive. You know, he's a bit of a racial stereotype. I think he's going to be our first C tier, because he's better than these guys, but he's not as good as anyone else on this list. The Phantom Shadows from A Night... what's it called? A Night of Fright is No Delight. The Phantom Shadows, aka the Giggling Green Ghosts. More like the Giggling Green Goats. These are up here alongside the Ghost Clown as the scariest Scooby-Doo villains of them all. They're genuinely pretty fucking spooky. I like how kind of extra they go with it, because they could have just been ghosts and they could have like one gimmick. They could have had the rattling chains, or they could have had the creepy laugh, but they have both. I like that they just go for both. And they're both so effective. I mean, the laugh is fantastic. And the rattling of the chains is just, it's a really, really nice touch. They also come very, very close, I think, to accomplishing their goal, because they want to scare a whole bunch of people out of a house, including Scooby-Doo and the gang. And they scare everyone else out of the house except for Scooby-Doo and the gang. So if they got them out, they would have succeeded. So they also come very close. And I think they're the only villains who turn out to be as fucking scary when they're unmasked as when they're in costume. When they turn out to be the evil lawyers, what's his name? Cuthbert Crawls and Cosgood Creeps. Look at those guys and tell me you don't get a bad vibe. That sends a chill down my spine looking at their faces. I just, get away from me, I don't want to look at you. So they're very memorable. They're absolutely S tier, no question about it. Carlotta the Gypsy. Okay, I should have ranked her along these guys, because Carlotta the Gypsy is like a fortune teller who's like, oh, don't go up to Castle Dracula. It's actually called Franken-Castle. And they go up and they meet these guys. And it turns out to be the fourth disguise of Big Bob Oakley, who is in disguise as Dracula, Frankenstein monster, and the Wolfman. Now, Carlotta is not involved in any of the chasing or the horror scenes. You don't actually know she's a villain until the end. You don't know that she's a disguise until the end. I mean, it's not bad, but there's nothing to it. However, the fact that it is a disguise is enough to save it. So I'm going to put it in C tier. I was going to put it in D tier, but the fact that it turns out to be another disguise of Big Bob Oakley on top of everything else on the other three monsters, that's enough to set it above fucking these two bozos down here. The Headless Spectre. I just watched this episode last night. This guy is fucking awesome. He walks around with no head. That's base. That's terrifying for Scooby-Doo. There's even a part where they open like a chest or whatever it is, and his fucking head is in there. It's terrifying. And he has one of the coolest laughs. Now, there's a lot of great laughs in here, but I think he might have my favorite villain laugh on Scooby-Doo. Just really, really A-tier stuff with the Headless Spectre. A-tier, I don't think... For me as a kid, he probably wasn't as like memorable as some of the guys in S-tier. And he's not as iconic, and I do have to separate the men from the boys somehow or other, so he's going in A tier. Yeah, I think that these are all about joint. I'm not going to rank one above the other particularly. They're all kind of the same at A tier. But the Headless Spectre is really fucking cool. Also, he's in one of the best chase sequences of the series, and I can't remember the name, but the song by, I believe it's by Austin Roberts, is one of the best in the series in that chase as well. So, again, that shouldn't factor in. But it is. It's my list, so whatever. Who's this? The Ghost of Geronimo from Decoy for a Dog Napper. I mean, they're all just men in masks, but this is just a guy in a mask. He doesn't really inhabit any sort of character. He's just a guy in a mask, and this was another, like Captain Cutler's Ghost. I never liked this one when I was a kid. I always thought he was one of the weakest villains, and I just didn't really like this episode. I do enjoy this episode now, even though it's quite weird and different. I mean, I think it's entertaining, and there's some funny character stuff, which is what I like about it. The mask is kind of memorable, I think because it's featured in the intro. So I think it might be a C tier. Yeah, I think so. It's not as bad as these. And I can't put it below Carlotta. Or Zentu, now that I look at it. I think just because it's in the intro, which also shouldn't factor in, but like it does. It's quite memorable, the mask, because it's in the opening. So upper C tier for the Ghost of Geronimo. Minor 49er. I mean, this really, there's not a lot going on with this design. It's just an old man. I think he's really tall. I think that's the only thing that kind of stands out about him. Yeah, like there's nothing. Like he's supposed to be a ghost, but like he's not glowing. He's not a weird color. He could have been like a zombie, but he doesn't look like a zombie. Yeah. Remember they made that Scooby-Doo porno? Why didn't they have a monster in that called the Minor 69er? Anyway. Actually, yeah, he looks a bit like a pedophile talking about minors, the Minor 49er. That's what's creepy about him. Maybe he should actually go to S tier, because that is kind of disturbing. Alright, the Mummy. Alright, so the Mummy episode is really very repetitive. Even early on in the show, it feels like they're just repeating What a Night for a Night with the Black Knight Ghost. But the Mummy just isn't as interesting. Overall, I don't think mummies are really always a very particularly interesting type of monster. I mean, there are great movies about mummies. Don't get me wrong. I am not knocking The Mummy 1999 starring Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. That is a classic. And I love Imhotep. He's a great mummy. But this, I mean, design-wise, it's just a mummy. Like, there's really not a lot to say about it. Yeah, it's deep. I'm not gonna... But I do need to put these in some kind of order. So he'll maybe go like upper D tier, so that he's above the 8-man. Actually, the Minor 49er is creepy because he does make me think of a pedophile. So he's gonna go to upper D tier. Like, he seems like someone that you would be about skeezed out. He reminds me of like the guy who was in the fucking Delphi murders, but we're not gonna get into that. Alright, the fucking Phantom from the Hassle in the Castle. I mean, I don't know what to fucking say about this thing, man. It's literally just a white sheet. Like, it kind of deserves S tier because it's so brazen and ballsy to just be a fucking white sheet. And that is memorable. But it just as much should be D or F tier because, like, it's just a white sheet. Is it mid? Is it C tier? It's going to be upper C tier. It's actually kind of good. It's quite an entertaining villain, I gotta say, but I can't forgive how fucking cheap the design is. It's got a great laugh, but I can't forgive that design, I don't think. So upper C tier. What the fuck? I forgot this guy was in here. He needs his own tier. How do you add a new tier? Add row below. Okay, what are we going to call this row here? Whack ass tier. I mean, look at that. That's even worse than this. Also, he's only in literally one scene and he immediately gets like caught by the gang. So like, yeah. I think, so it turns out to be a guy named Aegis Shanks. And they never say it, like a villain name in the episode. But I think the accepted name for this villain in the fandom is the Phony Phantom. And yeah, Phony is right. All right, the Puppet Master. Now, this was an episode I never liked when I was a kid because I didn't care for the Puppet Master. Watching it now, this is a really good episode. Puppets are actually really creepy, as we all know. And using like different puppets, like they have to fight like a Viking puppet and stuff. That's a lot of variety. That's very entertaining. That's a good gimmick to have. And he has a great laugh. So the Puppet Master actually does have a lot going for him in that regard. But I still find his design a little too bland. Like, they're going for a sort of, I guess, Phantom of the Opera type vibe. But I find his design really unmemorable. So I think he's gonna go... It's a really good episode, though. All the other stuff with the puppets is good. So he could be a lower B tier to upper C tier. Lower B tier. Upper C tier. Maybe he needs his own tier. Puppet Master tier. Upper B tier. Lower C tier. No, higher C tier. I mean upper C tier. Let me reorder this shit now. Okay. Yeah, he's the best of these guys. Is this still in the correct order? Yeah, whatever. Upper B or lower B tier, but no. Okay, so next is the Snow Ghost. So I think the Snow Ghost looks a bit tubby, but other than that, I do think it's a pretty awesome design. I love his big eyebrows, and he is probably the most dangerous of all the Scooby-Doo villains because he comes very close, I think multiple times, to outright killing the gang. Like, he is the one who is the most willing to, like, commit murder. He's gonna fucking put Shaggy through a saw, or whoever it is through a saw. Like, that's hardcore. Yeah, the Snow Ghost doesn't fuck around. I think it's gotta be A tier. Yeah. Also, he's the ghost of a Yeti. That's just kind of cool. Alright, the Spooky Space Kook, an undeniable S tier. He's the GOAT. He is my favorite Scooby-Doo villain. And that's why he's upper S tier. He's the GOAT, I think, the Spooky Space Kook. I mean, just say the name. Spooky Space Kook. It's fun to say. It's a great name. And it's a great gimmick. What is he, like the fucking ghost of an alien? You know, like he could have just been an alien, but instead he's a ghost. And this is one of the best episodes. Has a great setting, great atmosphere. I love. And I like, again, he could have just been like an alien, but instead he's like this phantom spaceman. And his head glows when he laughs. And his laugh is insanely good. And I think it actually might be the kind of same laugh as the Phantom. But they add like the filter on it. And just with the whole design and everything. It's just terrific. And you gotta love the name, Spooky Space Kook. Like, and he is. He's kooky. He's spooky, he's spacey, and he's altogether kooky. Like, and he's got like that sick spaceship, which I don't think is a spaceship, but like, obviously it's supposed to be a spaceship. And that's got a really cool, unique design as well. Like, considering it was the late 1960s. I think they put more effort into that spaceship than they probably needed to. So, he's up there for sure. The Wax Phantom is okay. He's probably mid B tier. He's a bit more of an original character than these three, so he's going to go above them. But he's not significantly more memorable than any of these guys. He's just a big lump of wax. I don't really have a lot to say about him. He's fine. He's fine. The werewolf, or the ghost of the werewolf, I believe, from Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Werewolf. Now, this werewolf design is not as good as this werewolf design, the Wolfman design from Galloping Ghost. Now, I understand that he's supposed to be a ghost, but I don't think that justifies him being fucking green. I've always found it bizarre. Why is he green? And like, I've never seen anywhere in my life ever a green werewolf anywhere else other than this episode. And I don't think anyone likes it because, like, you could see later on when they had to reuse assets and they had to bring back like a werewolf in a future episode, they used the Wolfman design, not the werewolf design. So clearly everybody involved thought they got it right with the Wolfman, which they did, which is a much better design than this. Also, he just turns out to be an unnamed sheep rustler, which is pretty weak. So I think he's got to go into C tier. Is he above these? Yeah, sure, he's above Carlotta. I don't fucking care. Whatever. The Witch Doctor, when I was a kid, this was one of my favorites, I gotta say. I always loved the Witch Doctor episode. I always thought his design was so fucking cool. And I do still think that. I think for me, this is A tier. And look, it's culturally insensitive the way they handle the Witch Doctor. But the way he does kind of shake his body like that, I do think is pretty unique and memorable. And at times a little unsettling. He has the best entrance. Because like the fucking sky turns red and everything when he shows up in a ball of flame, which is awesome. And he has that fucking thing with him, Mono Tika Tika, who is like a fucking mech, who isn't listed here. But that, of all the like henchmen or side villains that these guys have, Mono Tika Tika is undeniably the GOAT of those. So he's right up there, the Witch Doctor. And now we have Zeke and Zeb, the Swamp Witch and the Swamp Zombie. These are iconic designs. They nail it. I mean, I love zombies in general, and I just think they nail it. This is another where they will reuse this over and over. There's a zombie on the Scooby-Doo show, which is effectively just a color-swapped version of this zombie. He's red in that one instead. And the witch is such a perfect, beautiful witch design. Is it upper B tier? Or is it A tier? It's A tier, I think. The zombie is too good. So that's what's going to put it in A tier. Now, let me have a quick look at this and see if I'm happy with it. So, whack-ass tier is Asia Shanks as the phony phantom in the haunted house hang-up. No problems with that. He deserves to be at the bottom. Then we got the D2. We got the minor 49er from... What's the fucking episode? What the Mine is Going On? What's the name of that episode? I don't remember. The mummy from, what's it called? Where's My Mummy or something? Yeah, he's pretty bland. Never Ape and Ape Man. And the Caveman. Maybe the Caveman. Sure, I mean, if we're ranking these individually, the Caveman should probably be above the Ape Man. Ape Man's got to be the weakest. And the Caveman's probably above the Mummy. But I'm not going to put him above the minor 49er. We got the Puppet Master for the Backstage Rage. The Phantom from A Hassle in the Castle. The Ghost of Geronimo from Decoy for a Dog Napper. The Ghost of Zen2O from Mystery Mask Mix-Up. The Werewolf, or the Ghost of Werewolf from Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Werewolf. And Carlotta the Gypsy from A Gaggle of Galloping Ghosts. That's solid. B tier, Mr. Hyde. Maybe Captain Cutler's ghost actually should be above Mr. Hyde's ghost. Captain Cutler from Scooby-Doo Finds a Clue, whatever it's called. Mr. Hyde from Nowhere to Hide. The Black Knight Ghost. Maybe he should go up one just for being the OG, I think. He makes a lot of cool grunts and noises, but I don't know if it's as good as the moan from Captain Cutler. Now we're getting into the moans and the grunts here. We're in the fucking weeds here, fellas. The Wax Phantom from Don't Fool with the Phantom. That's like literally middle of the table. He's in the middle of his tier, in the middle of the table. Except he's not in the middle. That is the middle. That's fine. He's so bulky. He's so big. Bugs, easy on the carrots. So cut down on the wax there, Mr. Phantom. These three, I think that's a solid ranking. Elias Kingston, what the heck is going on? Redbeard from Go Away Ghost Ship. Is he? Nah, I love Elias Kingston. I was going to put them, but yeah, I think they're in the correct order. Snow Ghost from That Snow Ghost. The Witch Doctor from A Tiki Scares No Fair. And Which is Which. I think that's solid. And then S tier is undeniably, of course, my goat, the Spooky Space Kook, the Goat Clown, the Giggling Green Goats, Charlie the Goat Bot, and the Goat Burr. Yeah, maybe I'd put the Creeper above Charlie. Yeah. Would I put the Creeper above the Ghosts? They're like tied. I mean, they're all up here. Yeah, I think that's it. I think I've been recording for over half an hour, so I should fucking stop this video here. Thank you, as always, very much for watching. If indeed you still are, please post your own comments or whatever about Scooby-Doo if you want to below. If you enjoyed this video and you're new to the channel and you want me to do more Scooby-Doo videos, let me know. Stay tuned for other videos that aren't about Scooby-Doo. And just generally have a great day. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks for sticking with me this long if you watched the whole thing. So, yeah. Maybe I'll do another tier list of another season or something at some point. But I don't know. We'll see. All right. What will I say? No, I was going to say zoinks. And I went zoinks. Here's my Shaggy impression. Like zoinks! Scoob! We got to get like the fuck out of here, man! All right. There you go. Have a Scooby snack. Have a good weekend, motherfucker.